Hello there, everyone. It is good to see you, even if I can't see you. So, anyway, my name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. And if you've been following the show for a while, you know that I've been kind of waylaid physically for the last over 3 weeks, uh, having difficulty getting out of bed. But I am here again, and I am so looking forward to discussing this topic with you because I don't want to feel like the only fool on the planet. So, first, let me tell you that we are broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. And if you are on my Facebook public page, which is Granny Rocks On, I will be able to see your comments in the chat while we are live. Anyway, my topic tonight is in the midst of societal mayhem, do you trust yourself? And I'd like to start out by reading to you just the little intro that I put into the description. And here it goes. It's just a few lines. I realized something yesterday. Because of chronic illness and weakness, I don't trust my body. And because despite ongoing pain and fatigue, I tend to keep going, my body doesn't trust me either. And the same can apply to my mind and heart. Do I trust my judgment? Does my judgment trust me? Can you relate? I hope so. In what way? While our nation descends into cruelty and chaos, do we feel secure in and about ourselves? If not, how can we rebuild trust? So, okay, there it is. I've said it. So, I want to pick the judgment one because I think everybody can understand what I meant about the body. Okay, I'm walking along and suddenly my knees collapse and I'm on the floor. Well, I can't trust my body because I have a tendency to fall now at my age and with certain health issues. Or when I was young, I had loose joints and they would just go whoop, when I was walking down the street and I would be on the ground. And there are other parts of the body that are similar. So I couldn't really entirely trust my body. In fact, when I went to do things at school, I couldn't do anything. But then I didn't think about it. How could my body trust me? I have never paid a lot of attention to it. I haven't put it first. I always put spiritual ambition or concern for the world or trying to save the planet before my body. So, how can my body trust me? Okay, so I think everybody can relate to that. But now I want to take a look at the example that I gave in that little description about judgment. Do I trust my judgment and does my judgment trust me? Now, does that even make sense to you? What do you mean? Does my judgment trust me? Well, okay, so let's look at that. Do I trust my judgment? Okay, I walk into a bar at 1:30 in the morning and I see some guy who's like throwing up in the bathroom and I go home with it. Now, that is, I have no judgment, right? So I can't trust my judgment. Well, I don't do that. At least I haven't done it in 70 years. Not 70, but 60. But anyway, so you could say, well, it's obvious that sometimes I don't trust my judgment. Um, I buy something I shouldn't. Hey, I'm sure some of you will relate to that. Or I eat something that I know that I should not, so on and so on and so on. But what do I mean? Does my judgment trust me? Well, my judgment may be telling me absolutely out front, don't do that. And do I do it anyway? Could be. Sometimes I do. So that means that's what I mean when I say, can my judgment trust me to follow through what in the way that it's guiding me? Just like, can my body trust me when it's guiding me to rest and I'm up all night watching, I don't know, the World Series? That wouldn't be me, but something. Okay, so now how do you rate yourself? I would love to hear from you about that because as I think about it, um, I think about all the things that I know better and that I don't do, or I feel like it is time to take a chance, but I'm too scared. So it's like all that inner conflict. So do we trust ourselves? Now, I put this in the context of the mayhem of the moment of our nation. I mean, obviously, we don't trust the government anymore, right? Many of us, anyway. Oh, I don't mean maybe our local assembly person is wonderful, or the mayor of our town, or maybe our state senator is great. But the federal government, how can you trust it when it breaks the law, when it shits on the Constitution, or when it's sending troops into cities, or when it's prosecuting people to persecute people, when they're trying to take our vote away? So it's very hard to trust the government. So that makes us a little bit nervous. It's like, well, and we can't even trust the weather because, after all, thanks to humans and climate change and global warming, we don't really know what's going to happen with our weather. Now, we've never totally known, but certainly it's become more erratic. So, and how do we, we say, okay, I want to sell my house, but can you trust the real estate market? Uh, there is so much that is going on in our society that you feel things that you may have believed, okay, things might not be great, but I know I'm going to get Social Security for the rest of my life. Well, I don't know about that. We can't trust that either. So, and when you have people in an administration who blatantly lie right in your face, knowingly, don't even deny it, how can you trust anybody? So there is a general level of distrust and anxiety, but we want to feel like we can trust ourselves, don't we? Mm, that we can trust ourselves to do the right thing. Oh, well, I have a confession to make. When Jeff Bezos started to support the administration, we dropped out of Amazon Prime and we haven't bought anything from them since. Well, a couple of weeks ago, there was something that I didn't know where to get except on Amazon. So I said, okay, that's it. We're going to do it. But this is all it's going to be. Then it said, hey, Beth, welcome back. We're going to give you 30 days of Prime free. And I'm thinking, oh my God, free shipping. It's going to come soon. And I'm finding myself, it's like, what happened to my morality here? So I can't wait till my 30 days are over so that or sooner, I'm going to get out of it. But you see what I mean? When times are tough, it's hard to trust yourself. If you're a hungry dog, you're probably going to bite your owner's fingers trying to get to the food. And that's what happens. The more stressed people are, the more likely it is that they may blow something that they're normally very trustworthy about. And then we pull ourselves together and we're courageous. But okay, am I going to stay the course when this looks like it's going to save me and going the way I really believe it's not? So that isn't usually a big deal for me. I tend to just go ahead, but I'm sure a lot of us are facing those very kinds of conflicts and questions. So I would like you guys to put something in the comments or the chat. So it would be the live chat on YouTube or the comments on my public Facebook page, Beth Green, the music and the message, facebook.com/Granny Roxanne. If you're there, you can post a comment. And I'm going to be calling on my panel. And let's talk about what we trust about ourselves, what we don't trust about ourselves, and the various sides of it. And then I want to talk about how can we rebuild trust in ourselves and of course in other people too, but first and foremost in ourselves. So now with no further ado, I am going to bring on our panel tonight, our happy uh, uh, friends. The first one is James Maynard.
Hello, hello.
Okay, and it looks like your uh, uh, webcam is working tonight. That's nice. Nice to see. And then next up is Lizzie Treehart.
Hello.
Hello. Looks like yours is working tonight too. And including it's not going fuzzy. And finally, last but not least, Todd Benton.
And his is working too.
His is working too. Oh my goodness. So who would like I'm assuming that you understood and related to the topic. Yes?
I was just writing in the chat, so yes,
Oh, you were. Okay, but you can talk in person.
yes, I can.
You can and will.
All right.
I haven't heard anything. Nobody is chatting yet. Okay. So who would like to begin? Or you can take a pause. Yes, James?
Well, I could begin. First of all, in terms of making judgments about what's happening in the world, I never have enough information. I mean, how much information do we have to base our decisions on? Very little. But there are certain basic things. So obviously, if the law is being broken or the Constitution is being trampled, that's easy enough. But I have to confine myself. I have to be a little cautious about rash judgments because I don't have a lot of information. Now, on a personal level, I'm noticing lapses in judgment in recent years more so than before, and I have cognitive impairment. So, for instance, the other week, after you had your fall, we had a gig scheduled for the two of us for 2 hours of making music, and I sing. And so I said, "Oh, maybe I should go and fill in for us, you know." And then you said, "Wait a minute, that's 2 hours of singing. When have you ever done 2 hours of singing? How can you do that?" I said, "Oh, you're right. I don't even know if I can do 2 hours of singing." so, so I had to let that one go. And like today, I was trying to work on a power drill, and I had the end of a bit was round, but what I saw inside of the drill was not. So I tried and tried and tried and tried. I couldn't get that to work. Finally, I came to my senses and looked for a video on how to work with a bit with that drill, and I found out that the part that was not cooperating had to protrude forward so that it could accept. It opened its mouth and accept the bit rather. So it's stuff like that, you know. It's like what I can trust is basic things that I do most of the time. And I'm pretty reliable. I can trust making the meals, kitchen cleanup, shopping for groceries, taking care of various things around the house, the yard, uh, walking the dogs, etc., etc. Those things I know I can trust, unless something strange happens. But at least I have certain arenas that I feel I can trust my judgment.
Well, good. Um, and I would like to say before we go on with, but can your judgment trust you? Is that I'm going through the same thing. I think that as you age, this is my experience anyway. As I age, I trust myself less. Now, isn't that shocking? I don't mean that I'm more forgetful, which I am. That's a no-brainer. I'm much more forgetful. Uh, I'm even weaker, but I've always been weak. Physically, I was falling as a child, so of course I'm falling as an 80-year-old woman. But it's worse than that. I think that in my youth, when I made a mistake, I didn't blame myself for it. Something would go wrong in my life, and I was always sure that it was something other than me that was at fault. And therefore, I blithely went along, not realizing that my judgment or perceptions could be wrong. And so I was much smarter then than I am now, because now I realize how many foolish things I have done and continue to do that I used to feel blind to or justified in, which is pretty funny because it's like, oh my God, now that I've become more aware, I trust myself less. That is pretty funny. But anyway, I want to come back to you, James, about can your judgment trust you? That even if you know you should do something or shouldn't do something, do you listen to your judgment?
Oh, there's a lot of times I don't listen to my judgment.
Right.
So yeah, particularly when it comes to things like I already know I want to do that. And my judgments might say, no, you really shouldn't. So, well, I want to do it anyway. So yeah, I can see how my judgment would not trust me.
So at least in the area of judgment, there's you're losing confidence both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
trust
yeah.
your judgment less, and your judgment trusts you less. And plus, you have memory issues. You may know exactly how to make meals or do that. Doesn't mean you're going to remember everything. Doesn't mean you're going to remember the knife, or it doesn't mean you're going to remember the napkin, or that you're going to remember. So that isn't a judgment issue. So you have the memory gets put into that too. So that makes it a little bit more hairy. Uh, yes, James.
Another thing is that I like to think that I still have it. Whatever it was that I used to have, I like to think I still have it. I like to believe that I have it, and then that's a very bad judgment because there's a lot of things I don't still do so well. So that's in there too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your honest sharing. Who would like to share next? Todd, leaping in where angels fear to tread.
Well, I can really relate to what you're saying because as I've gotten older and as I've worked with you, I used to be pretty confident in my judgment and that I was right, so I can relate to you about that, and as I've gotten older and wiser, I've gotten more hip to, okay, I don't always know everything, or, I'm not as, on top of things as I like to think I am. So there's that. I do trust myself for the most part to take care of myself. I do, I'm in excellent health. My doctor has confirmed that. And for my age, I'm in the top percentile. But there are things I still do that aren't great, like not getting enough sleep sometimes, staying up too late, like you mentioned. Even though I know it's a drain, I'm like, okay, the next day I'll be able to take a nap in the afternoon or something. I write it off if it's something I want to do. And I'm, so it's not that frequent though, fortunately. But the topic of the show, in the midst of societal mayhem, I don't completely trust myself not to get afraid and not take action where I could. I have taken action. I am doing, I've done a lot, and I've gone to protests. I've marched, I've written, I've filled out a lot of things, but am I really doing everything I can? And where is and even not even with the social mayhem, just in my family, am I really bringing things up? Am I being honest? So that's where I don't totally trust myself, because I'm, I'm balancing honesty with safety. And, our recent sessions, both in intuition training and in the men's group and in our family session, they have all centered around that topic. So it's getting better, but I know there are still blind spots and things that I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and say it. But I'm like, I don't know. That may not go over very well.
That is really good. I am sure that a lot of people will identify with you,
Mhm.
that if they're gut-wrenchingly honest, they'll get honest that they're not gut-wrenchingly honest,
Yeah.
and that we do rationalize away saying things or fighting for things because of safety considerations, whether it's in the big scope of things like, oh, we might get arrested or shot or whatever it is,
Mhm.
or in the personal arena, like you're saying, it's like somebody's going to get mad at me, and I just can't handle it. It's just so, we just sell ourselves out. So that is an extremely good example of self-honesty. And what happens when you don't trust? What is the impact of not trusting your honesty and your self-honesty? How
What's
does
the
that
impact?
impact you?
Well,
Yeah.
it makes you feel, slimy, really, ultimately, and it I don't know, it impacts your, how you view yourself, because you're wimping out, so you don't tend to view yourself very well. Which, by the way, I'll say this morning's call was our first call since Saturday, with the
You have the
men's
men's
group.
group?
Yeah, and it was really good. We followed up with one of the people, and we had a really deep conversation about multiple things, things that we hadn't been talking about before. So I am hopeful that that taking ground there will lead me to the courage to do it everywhere. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Mhm.
Nice. Oh, I'm very happy to hear that.
That's
Very
why I
good.
told you that, because I thought you might enjoy
Yeah.
hearing that. Yeah.
Well, I do, and it's also good for the audience to hear.
Hmm.
Very, very good. Okay, Lizzie, it doesn't look like you can squirm out of this one. Since you're the only one
Darn
left.
it. I'd rather squirm out of it.
What? Okay, you don't trust your willingness to confront things because you'd rather squirm out of them.
Oh, sometimes. But as far as just, do I trust myself? I think it varies. I think the more I'm connected to myself, then probably. But when I'm not connected, then no, I don't trust myself or trust my judgment. Does my judgment trust me? Probably not in regards to. I haven't thought about this before tonight.
Good. That's what I like.
I do my best to take care of myself, but it just seems circumstances, I hardly get enough sleep on a very regular basis. Um, I do pretty good with what I eat, and, exercise is a little better, but, you know, um, I'm sure you can help me see some other things.
So you're talking about your body and sleep. What about your emotions?
Again, like the more I'm connected, the better off I am with my judgments. And I think my judgments can, well, like when I'm more connected, then I'm more relaxed around, even if there's a lot going on, that it's not very comfortable. It's very painful watching, at work, we're going to be witnessing very painful transactions in regards to not taking an insurance company anymore because they don't pay us enough to cover care.
Oh,
But it's an insurance company that the CEO makes millions and millions of dollars. And it's like, okay, I'm going to tell each and every person who has this insurance that we have to say we're not going to continue working with you anymore, that you need to come together with other people and raise heck and say, this is wrong.
great idea.
And say, this is for one person or however many people in the administration to make this much money. So, something I'm passionate about, I think I can trust myself
Mm.
that I have knowledge on.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be times where, at the same time, if I'm really passionate about something, maybe I am
A little bit skewed the other way.
the other way, dealing with a death in the family and finding things out about this person. And it's like, I'm cussing this person up and down. How could you? How could you? Using a few choice words. So I don't know if that's trusting myself or my judgment trusting myself.
Well, I think you're a kind of like on the fringe of a very important realization is,
I'm sorry, can others mute when you're not talking? I hear an echo now for some reason.
yeah, thank you. I just heard it too.
Hmm.
It shouldn't be on mine because I have echo cancellation on, and I still have echo cancellation on. Okay. Well, when you know that you have a tendency to get negative, then you cannot entirely trust your emotional reactions. And this is, you did kind of invite me to bring up something. And this is good because each one of us is bringing up a different aspect of it. There are a lot of other things that I don't trust my spirituality, or I don't trust my opinions, or my, but yeah, but the good news is that you know that you have a certain tendency, which helps you to at least be open to looking at, I wonder why I'm having that reaction. Why am I feeling that now? The person is dead. What is it that's really triggering that for me? So I think that's really important, Lizzie, that you've got that. Um, you have the awareness. And so just say, I'm going to use that awareness to ask myself, why am I getting so negative about this? Or why am I getting so angry about this? Or what is it triggering in me that's bringing up that kind of emotion? Is it just my typical negativity? Or is there something in particular about this that is triggering me? And then that kind of opens the door to a greater self awareness. Are you with me on that? Oh, I didn't hear you. You must
I,
have.
I muted myself. I think so.
Okay, good. And I think that brings me to the next part of, like coming to the conclusion of this program is like, how do we build trust?
How do we what?
Build trust in our judgment, in our reactions, in our courage, in our honesty, in our bodies, and so on. So I was listening to a woman talking about movement programs for people who are very sick. And I know that every time, I don't care what it is, I watch a video on some kind of, and they'll say, just do this 3 times, 15 times a day, or or go do the, and I do it, and I think, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. So what does it do? It makes me feel more hopeless because I can't do it. I couldn't do it when I was 10 years old. How could I do it now? So what she was talking about was that you need to think about movement could be tiny. It could be you put a pillow under your knees and you raise them, and that's your movement, or doing deep breathing. And I thought, what a helpful thought that is. So, what I've been doing since then is I've been like doing the tiniest movement and noticing how I feel. Oh, that just relaxed my shoulders, or I really should get off my feet, but I can't right now because, like you were saying about sleep, I mean, sometimes we really don't have a choice. We have to do, like, I had to come here today, and it's killing my knees just getting on and off the chair, even though I've got cushions. But if I put too many cushions on the chair, I will fall. So, but I wanted to do the show tonight, and it's so much easier to do it down here than have to bring all the equipment up there. So there's a lot of things that we have to do in life where we have to use our judgment and say, okay, which is really going to have the worst impact? But I'm thinking, okay, I am standing here now. Which knee hurts more? Should I put more weight on my right foot or on my, and I'm being conscious of it. I'm thinking about it. I've got my rollator and I say, okay, is my rollator hurting me or helping me? And I might do a movement that is like, you wouldn't even notice it, but I know I just did something. And so using that as a template, I think what we can do is take baby steps instead of trying to get it right, live up to some external program template of what it is. So if, for example, you're eating right and you're exercising a little bit more, okay, so then what could be the next little step? But you know you need more rest. Well, maybe what you need to do is relax more while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. Stop feeling so upset and conflicted, and you'll be more relaxed, and when you're more relaxed, guess what? You feel more rested. And I mean, I just had that thought right this second. I hadn't had that thought before, but I've been doing it. I've been focusing on, okay, how am I going to relax right now? And sometimes I can't, but just thinking about it is a step that I hadn't taken before. And when I do, it's pretty darned interesting. So, with you, Todd, for example, you might look at one interaction or one situation uh, and start out by thinking about what you might want to say. And then moving on, whatever you're able to do, maybe you can swing right into it, and maybe you have to inch into it. God once said to me, follow the moving line, right? We need to be looking at what's changing instead of getting obsessed with what isn't changing. So if you do something a little bit differently, that's a step. And it is through taking those steps that we begin to build trust in ourselves. So, for example, let's go to James' examples about not trusting his judgment or his ability to figure things out. But what he's been doing is he's been challenging himself to try to do something that normally he would just give up. And, he keeps trying this and that and getting this piece of equipment, which doesn't work, or that piece of equipment. It's all like building the muscle of taking on the challenge. And maybe at a certain point, you say, I've tried all of these things and I can't do it, and I better call somebody or I better hire somebody to do this. Then you're trusting your judgment because you're saying, I really can't do this. But if you throw in the towel before you try, you will never even know whether or not you could do this. And take on the baby step. Oh, I think I'm going to try this. If, for example, you have a lot of anxiety, you might say, oh, I know like 50 different things that help you to relax, like listening to certain kind of music or deep breathing of this kind or that, or doing movement or taking a bath or taking a walk, or, I know all of these things. If in that moment of anxiety, you stop and think, well, what could I do to reduce my stress level right this moment? You're already doing something different. So, my answer to how do we rebuild trust is one step at a time. A baby step, a medium sized step, whatever size step we can do, and begin to see how start, we can start communicating with ourselves. My body will communicate with me if it knows I'm listening. If I keep ignoring it like I did for 80 years, it's just going to scream, but it's not going to talk to me. You know what I mean? So I want to rebuild trust with my body just in these very little ways. And I want to rebuild trust in my emotions, that I can stop myself and really examine. Even if I just ask the question, why am I feeling that? That step is a big step beyond just reacting. And so each one, slowly, we build trust if we never had it, or we rebuild trust if we did. It doesn't mean we'll go back to, oh, I'll be able to do what I could do when I was 20 years old. But your trust in your body and your ability to communicate with your body goes up. And how critically important is that? Your trust in your judgment, your trust in your heart and your emotions. And don't ever forget a sense of humor. So, with that, I think we're coming to a close. Please love or like this show on Facebook, give it a thumbs up on YouTube, share it with friends if you like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook, and come back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. James and I are doing magical improvs with the Kindred Spirits Band, which we thought we broke up last week, but we're bringing it back. And James is working on trusting his improvisations by practicing. This is all practice, isn't it? Everything I'm talking about is practice. Practice baby steps and see how far it gets you. So don't forget to come back here next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. We love you. We really appreciate our audience. And even though nobody made a comment while we were going live, feel free to make a comment afterwards. I will always respond to you when I can. So thank you so much. And guys, do you want to say goodbye to our,
Bye-bye, everybody.
and think about the questions that I raised for all of us tonight. So now let's see if the music is going to work now.